Hey guys, lovely to have you round. Welcome to the Holy Shed, where, as you will know by now, we are spending Lent reading and commenting on my book, How to Be a Bad Christian and a Better Human Being. And we're looking at it 3 chapters at a time. And this week, the chapters are 10, 11, and 12. Don't worry about that if you haven't read them, all will be made clear. As I've already said, a parallel process of using the book as a Lent book is going on at St Leonard's, our home church in South London. And I've been in 2 gatherings this week, one online via Zoom and the other face to face, where I've had lovely, stimulating conversations about these chapters. My intention in writing this book, most of my books actually, is twofold. First, to try to help Christians who struggle with aspects of Christian faith to see another way of approaching it, and which will be more kind of helpful and satisfying. And maybe more importantly, I write for people who may never turn up at church, indeed who are disinclined toward religion altogether, yet who may be following the way of Jesus more than they think. And I want to help them to find a different image, a different way of thinking about Christianity, perhaps than the ways that they've already experienced or been introduced to. You know, even though I have been a part of the Christian church subculture for more decades than I care to remember, there are things about it which still puzzle me. Surprise, surprise, sometimes quite deeply. And a constant theme, I find, is wondering how so many people can be so adamant and certain about stuff that there's no way of being certain about. I think what many fundamentalists and conservatives seem to forget is that Christianity is about faith. It's a faith, right? Not certainty. And doubt is often seen in those circles as the opposite to faith, a work of the enemy. Whereas I think that doubt isn't the opposite of faith. I think it's actually part of the process of faith. It keeps our faith healthy by banishing, bland assumptions and hand-me-down sort of ideas. Doubt sort of pushes us to think clearly and properly for ourselves. No, it's certainty actually, which is the opposite to faith. Because if you've got certainty, then faith is defunct, right? You don't need it. I don't need faith to believe that Clapham High Street exists. It's there, just down the road for all to see. But religion and religious truth isn't like that. And yet, all the time in some churches, you can hear people harping on about heaven. See what I did there? Harping on about heaven and their certainty of going there when they die, as if they'd, booked a holiday in Blackpool or Skegness for next August and, it's all booked, here's the tickets, hey ho. But what happens to us when we die isn't like that. It's a matter of faith, or maybe hope, but not certainty. And this is what chapter 10 of How to Be a Bad Christian is about. The title is Never Mind Heaven, What About Now? And the focus is on living in this world and letting heaven look after itself. I remember early on in the Holy Shed reading a passage from chapter 10, and I'll read it again to you now. It says, I believe in something I call, well, let me go back a bit. I've no doubt that there's more to our existence than this mortal coil. I believe in something I call the beyond. But I've no idea what this actually means, nor does anyone I know, not really. But I certainly don't believe in a heavenly holiday camp filled with harp playing, hymn singing, and perpetual church services, or any other kind of everlasting torment. When I read that in the Holy Shed back then, a friend from America got straight back onto me and said that she and her husband just about spat out their supper when they heard me read that out. The problem is, when people speak with certainty about what cannot be known with certainty, they often end up creating fantasies and weird projections from this life onto what they imagine life after death, heaven, is like. I personally prefer not to speculate very much at least, on what I don't know, what I cannot know actually or understand. But when I do imagine heaven, I find I'm much more inclined towards the notion of parallel realities, the beyond already here in our midst, heaven all around us. And I find that makes a lot more sense. Science now talks about multiverses, that there are parallel universes, so who knows? But I find it helpful because it leads me to think of hell and heaven less as places, more as forms of consciousness, or indeed of actual life experiences here and now. I mean, Hitler's death camps were as hellish hell as you could get, right? Present day Gaza is utter hell. People living on our streets or being trafficked or living through illness or bereavement and all these sort of things are actually experiencing some kind of hell themselves. Maybe you have, or maybe you feel you are experiencing some form of hell right now. I'm not really interested in trying to sort out what happens when people die. I believe in a boundlessly loving God who can look after all of that. No, my interest is in how I can alleviate people's hell right now, how we can help people to glimpse or to taste a bit of heaven right here in the present. I love that line in the Freddie Mercury song which says, "This could be heaven for everyone." Never mind what happens when we die. What about now? Heaven and all that can look after itself. Our task, I believe, is to alleviate suffering here and now, wherever we can. Which leads rather neatly into chapter 11, which is called Good God, Bad God, How to Make Sense of Suffering. And I admit straight away at the beginning that that's a little bit of a deception, really, because I can't possibly make sense of suffering. It is a diabolical dilemma beyond my ken. Take the whole Israel-Palestine thing. When I heard about the attacks by Hamas last October, I wanted to scream. I remember I was lying in bed waking up when I heard about it, and I wanted to scream about what Hamas did to lovely, innocent Jews, most of them actually of a more liberal mindset in that region, wanting justice for Palestinians. Now I'm screaming just about every single day when I watch the news and witness the mindless, pointless, devastating, evil suffering of people in Gaza. And by the way, on that, please don't get bogged down or distressed by the whole narrative that if you are supportive of the Palestinians, you're automatically anti-Semitic or backing Hamas. I mean, that is, permit my language, bloody nonsense. Look, I'm frequently very critical of our own government here in this country. They can make me scream too, but that doesn't mean I'm anti-British. I despised the regime of Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe when he was alive, but that didn't make me a racist. I can't stand what Vladimir Putin does, but I'm not anti-Russian. And being critical of Netanyahu and his government is not anti-Semitic. I loathe what Hamas did, but I also loathe what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza right now. I love the Jewish people. I love all the Jewish people that I know, which is quite a lot. I want them to be safe in the world and to flourish. I love the Palestinian people too, and I know many of them, and I want them to flourish in safety as well. There's no difference. They're just fellow human beings. The whole issue of suffering in the world is a chronic dilemma with no easy answers. Certainly much suffering is created by human beings, man's inhumanity to man and all that, which we talk about, but not all of it. Some is simply random or caused by nature. However, the problem of all suffering is that it is multiplied when we insist on God being all-powerful and all-loving, because that's probably atheism's most effective recruitment plan, actually. And I don't think it makes any sense. I mean, I needn't expand upon this just now because I've talked quite a lot about it before Christmas in the Holy Shed, and how process theology I think can help us with that whole dilemma. But basically, the idea of divine omnipotence is, in my opinion, a theoretical dead end with very dubious biblical roots. My faith is in a God who is part of the suffering of the world, who suffers in the suffering, a crucified God, as Jürgen Moltmann says, who calls us to align with her or him in seeking to alleviate pain and suffering and work toward a kinder, fairer, more peaceful world for all, which is where chapter 12 comes in, which is called A Wing and a Prayer, How to Talk to God. Well, of course, I could start with an advert for my book, OMG, that has got, I don't know, somewhere around 90 prayers, which I hope you'll find helpful. Plus a good chunk of chapter 12 of How to Be a Bad Christian is in there too as a kind of epilogue. Prayer takes many forms, I guess. In the broadest sense, prayer is about connecting with God or connecting with the divine in some way. But I think it's also about connecting with ourselves in a particular way in the process. When you think about it, we talk to ourselves all the time, don't we? It's not just me, is it? I think there's an inner conversation that is going on all the time. Throughout life, we interact with our thoughts, with our feelings, with our gut instincts. And when we look around or engage in conversations or go about our business, there is an often unconscious inner conversation going on about what's going on, about who we're talking to. It's a conversation that I think mostly serves to confirm what we already thought about people or about situations or about what's going on in the world. It's part of, how we make sense of things, how we hold together our vision of the world and hold together our attitudes and values or our prejudices too. One basic form of prayer is when we open ourselves up, not just to God, but to new possibilities. There's a wonderful song by Mike Scott of the Waterboys called Open, which runs through a whole list of ways to be open in the world. Let me put the words up on the screen. I wish I could play the music, but I would be shut down. Open to the world, open to spirit, open to the changing wind, open to touch, open to nature, open to the world within, open to change, open to adventure, open to the new, open to love, open to miracles, open, beloved, to you, open to learn, open to laughter, open to being blessed, open to joy, open to service, open to saying yes, open to risk, open to passion, to peace and silence too, open to love, open to beauty, open, beloved, to you. It's a great song and a lovely statue too, by the way, of the hand of God. For me, these words here are a description of the most basic form of prayer. It's an inner posture of openness, or to use more in vogue language, it's about being mindful or being present in the moment. That is where openness unfolds, when we live in the present instead of sticking to well-worn certainties, but we actually deal with life as it comes to us with openness. I mean, that, I think, is a form of prayer, because that openness, whatever the person or object is that's before us, is fundamentally an openness to God, to the divine revealed in the world, which raises the issue of intentionality in prayer. In one sense, we could say that the whole of life is prayer. When I feel wonder looking at the heavens, when I breathe in fresh air in the middle of a field or in some woods, when I sense gratitude sitting with my beloved, or when I taste good food, or the feeling of satisfaction at writing a decent piece of text. All these things and so many more can be seen as prayer or prayerfulness, and they are, but they're mostly non-intentional prayer, if you like. They're just things that are going on. I see them as prayer, but I don't necessarily sort of be bringing myself intentionally to prayer at that moment. But I think that prayer also does require that element of intentionality. Mindfulness is a form of intentionality when I decide to zero in and pay attention to some little thing or some big thing. Taking a deliberate moment to contemplate what we feel grateful for. Maybe to say grace at a meal, not just as a sort of habit, but as a conscious, thoughtful act. I see a considered proposal of a toast as an intentional prayer. So let me just mention two intentional moments that I try to practice. First, at the very start of the day, opening the curtains. I see that as a prayerful act, requiring me to take just a moment or two or three to look out. And sometimes I like to just take that moment to lean on the windowsill and just look out. It may be beautiful and sunny, and there may be blue skies and birds singing. It may be grey, it may be rainy, but to just take that situation in, and to basically breathe a welcome to the day. And sometimes I'll say it, welcome Tuesday. And the second moment is at the other end of the day as we lay on the pillow before nodding off. I like to say the night prayer, or part of the night prayer from the New Zealand Prayer Book, which says, what is done is done. What is not done is not done. Let it be. That's a pretty wonderful way to end the day. It's kind of clearing your desk off and saying, there it is. What's done's done, what's not done, not done, and even a bit of Beatles thrown in. Let it be. So I'd like you to have a think about that. How could you cultivate more intentional moments, a more intentional presence in the world with God? There's so much more to say, but, I'm out of time. And I need to check how Liverpool got on today. Such is my commitment that I left it aside to look after the shed. I don't believe in praying for your football team. So I have to ask myself why it is that I sometimes, quite often do. Maybe it's tied up with that quote at the front of my prayer book by Sam Keane, who said, I don't believe in prayer, I only do it. I love that. I don't believe in prayer, I just do it. There are some things in life, and I think prayer is one of them, where I don't need to have any sense of certainty about it, any sense of adamance, or any need to have full explanations. It doesn't stop me thinking all the time about it, but I think it's something that can be as natural as just living our lives and breathing. So here's the prayer that I posted on Instagram and Facebook this week.
This is in a material world. Creator God, incarnate in our world, we see you in the wonder of a kestrel hovering at the side of the road. Hear your voice in the crashing waves. We taste you in the sweetness of fresh, crisp apples. Smell your breath in the fragrance of a bluebell wood. Creator of all, who makes a home in soft animal bodies, who delights in the awesome speed of a cheetah, the sassy good looks of a duck-billed platypus. You meet us also in the warmth and love of kisses and hugs, in laughter and tears, in cups of tea and toasted bread shared. Help us to live in the joyful and chastening knowledge that there is no part, not a single crumb of this material world, which is not hallowed by your sacred presence.
Amen to that. Now, if you've got a drink handy, I'd just like you to join me in a toast. I've got some of Lambert's Best here. And so I'd like to propose a toast to heavenly moments and seeing how we can help to bring them to people's lives. A toast to those people who help to alleviate our pain or suffering without asking anything in return. A toast to openness, to whatever life brings. May we always find hope to see us through to life. L'chaim. Well, there we go, guys. If you like what I'm doing in the Holy Shed, you can support us. You can buy us a coffee by just following the link on the screen. And we are deeply grateful for all of you who support us like that and in lots of other ways too. So, I have mentioned already my book, and you can get it on Amazon, or if you want me to sign a copy, then you just need to go to the coffee shop, yes, the shop on the coffee site and buy it there. But be sure to message me directly. You can do that through the coffee kind of website, or Facebook, or email, or whatever, to tell me who you would like me to sign the book for, and I'd be very happy to do that. On Wednesday of this week, I'm doing a Pause for Thought on Radio 2. It'll be about 7:15. Love you to join me if you can, but I will post up the link afterwards and you'll be able to hear it if you're interested in doing that. Thursday, 7 o'clock, I'm leading a soul space with our friends in Croydon, and I'd love you to join me for that too. And that's just about it, I think, really. As I say, I did preach at St. Leonard's this morning on one of those tricky texts that sometimes come up in the Gospels, all about kind of sowing a seed, falling to the ground and dying and so on. If you want to have a listen to that, it'll be on their website soon, or I'll post a link for that as well. So thanks for being with me today, and I'm just so grateful to have this book in my hands. It's amazing. You know how much you feel it's a bit like having a baby and releasing it into the world, hoping that it will find its way, hoping that you guys will find it helpful, and that you'll want to share it with other people too. So I'm feeling very grateful. I'll see you soon. Stay human, and I'll see you, I think, probably next week. Bye.
You're my life, you're my breath, you're a smile, you're my guest. You're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you are love. You're my hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug. You're the light in the dark, you're the spark, you are fun. You're my mom, you are water, you're the stars, you're my daughter. You're my friend till the end, you're my dreams, you're my father. You're the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround. I'm feeling it all around, the hemisphere in the clouds. You're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow. You're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I follow. You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss. The gift to realize that everything
all that
is a gift.
I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all. Grateful for it
You're the
all.
blessings every time I try to count. You're the lessons that I learn every time I turn around. You're the water when I'm burned every time I think I found everything I'm looking for. You're the sign saying stop to take a bow and keep moving forward and start looking towards your heart. It'll open all the doors, and only then you'll start to hear the world singing chorus with your mind and heart aligned in purpose. Everything
All
will feel
that I
gorgeous.
am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all.
Every day I sit and pray, cause what I have is more than I deserve or could ever imagine. How do I give back to all of this magic and spread the love so everybody can have it? Doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, if I got a family or if I'm all alone. Bad things happen, I can just complain and moan. Well, there's a million things that I can be grateful for.
So I lift up my hands
everything I see, everything I hope, and everything I dream, everything I feel, and everything I be. I'm grateful for it all. It's amazing. Everything I am, and everything I see, everything I hope, and everything I dream, everything I feel, and everything I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings. Everything I am, and everything I see, everything I hope, and everything I dream, everything I feel, and everything I be. I'm grateful for it all. It's amazing. You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
Wait, one more. This is for y'all.
All that I am.
All I